Hello everybody, this is AK. I'm back. So when I see a headline like this in the news, I just have to say something. You know, there was a time when REITs were all super hot, right? Everyone was buying REITs because of the yield, which seemed so attractive compared to a very low interest rates that we were getting for our savings in the bank. And there was a saying last time that if you leave money in the bank account, it's just rotting, is making so little in return, might as well put it to work. And so people were very indiscriminate. It was euphoria about REITs, very positive feelings about REITs. And of course many of those REITs have collapsed like house of cards today, right? In recent times. And EC World REIT is one such REIT. I remember when it had its IPO, many research houses were reporting how it had links with Alibaba that is part of its logistics chain, and it was a lot of hype. Right, and people were not really interested in the details. They were all jumping on the bandwagon. And at that time, I did actually warn people about some red flags in the REIT, right? And back in May, I blogged about this again. And I say a reader told me that fortunately he heeded my warning about EC World REIT and did not invest in it, right? So now on hindsight, AK made sense, right? To be quite honest, I could not recall when I did that, but I can't remember I did something like that. And doing a search of my blogs, I found out that I blogged about EC World REIT in early 2018 to explain why I had my doubts about the REIT. And when in doubt, I stay out. That's what I did with Eagle Hospitality Trust as well. When the share price plunged, I didn't buy in because I was doubtful. And I always say I don't have to do a complete analysis to know that I want to avoid investing in something, right? Something's fishy, I stay away, right? And yes, it's true, I'm lazy, so I don't like doing complete analysis. But if the partial analysis that I do is enough to sound off an alarm bell, I stay away. Anyway, I think it's interesting to revisit the reason why I avoided EC World REIT. And this will hopefully let viewers or readers of my blog know how to avoid investing in REITs like EC World REIT in the future, right? So at the time, I was concerned about the relatively short land leases, and they were similar in length to most Singapore industrial land leases. I say, if I were to invest in overseas REITs, why would I bother? I will be more interested in freehold land, right? If I'm investing in the short land leases, I might as well just stay in Singapore, invest in Singapore industrial REITs, right? And at the time, I was also concerned with the relatively low distribution yield. The distribution yield was about 7% per annum. And if I remember correctly, we could get a much higher distribution yield back in 2018 from comparable REITs in Singapore, industrial REITs in Singapore. And also that 7% distribution yield was only possible because of sponsor support. So there's financial engineering involved. Without sponsor support, the distribution yield would have been just 5+%, right? It wasn't even 6%. So the financial engineering was pretty aggressive to make the REIT look attractive to potential investors, to retail investors. And so I thought, well, that's definitely too low a distribution yield for such short land leases. And the sponsor also accounted for 2/3 of the REIT's income. And that is a huge concentration risk, because if the sponsor were to go kaput or they have some problem, then the REIT's income is in real danger, right? And I also did not like that their debt was denominated in Singapore dollar, right? They own Chinese property. They should have debt, onshore debt in renminbi. and it shouldn't be in Singapore dollar. And because I had an experience with Lipo Mall Trust in the past, because they own Indonesian property, but their debt was in Singapore dollar. So when the Indonesian rupiah depreciated against the Sing dollar, their gearing naturally shot up because of foreign exchange. Without borrowing another cent, their gearing level just shot up. So there should always be a natural currency hedge by REITs, foreign REITs. If they own property in a foreign country, the debt should be in that country's currency. So I always say REITs should strive to borrow in the currency of the country their properties are located in to benefit from natural currency hedge. Or because to employ forward hedging against currency movement is very expensive, it's costly, right? And the natural currency hedge protects against disadvantageous foreign exchange movement without incurring extra costs, right? And I also didn't like that they had a seaport as part of the portfolio. I mean, you are industrial property REITs. What is a seaport doing in your portfolio? It gives me the impression that the sponsor was just trying to get rid of some asset that he didn't want. It's just like how F.I.R.E has a country club and a hotel in his portfolio, and it's like supposed to be a healthcare REIT, right? And what has country club and hotel got to do with the healthcare REIT? It's like the sponsor trying to dump away something that they were trying to get rid of, right? And that's never a good sign, right? And EC World REIT was supposed to be about e-commerce assets. That's why I say the research houses, they were drumming up the fact that EC World REIT had links with Alibaba. So the sponsor was just trying to dump assets on unsuspecting investors. That was what I thought. That was how I felt about it. And in response to that blog in 2018, the reader said the following: actually, I view the Singapore dollar denominated debt as being good for EC World REIT. This is based on the likely appreciation of Chinese yuan against the Singapore dollar. Indeed, the Chinese currency has appreciated against the Singapore dollar in recent times, and I believe this trend will continue. I am heavily invested in EC World REIT. Anyway, thanks for sharing your views. So, what would I say to that? We can have an opinion on what might happen to the Chinese yuan against the Singapore dollar. For sure, everyone has an opinion. However, we must recognize that when we do that, we are speculating, right? What I have stated about natural currency hedge is not speculation, it is factual, right? The fact that having debt in Chinese yuan for Chinese real estate provides a natural currency hedge. Whether the yuan will appreciate against the Singapore dollar or not in future, that is speculative. It's not a definite fact that yuan will appreciate against the Singapore dollar. And in fact, now we know the yuan has depreciated the Singapore dollar, and by quite a bit too. Anyway, I hope that reminding myself about why I avoided investing in EC World REIT is a useful exercise both for myself as well as for viewers of my YouTube channel. Now we know how to avoid investing in REITs like EC World REIT in future. If AK can talk to himself, so can you. Bye-bye.